But you have to know that. I mean, my DPs are very technically competent, and you have to train your eye to see. I mean, you have to see the way film sees or the way video sees, not the way your eye sees. Well, you're late. All right. We'll give it a few more minutes here. There's some good stuff here that people have sent me. There's one that I have trouble understanding. Now, it is not your fault, the writer, if I don't understand what you write because you don't speak that good English. Who gives a shit? You just be able to tell. I want you, in this particular case, well, when I get to it, I'll say, but I think I want you to tell it to the other people rather than try to understand your English because it's hard. Good morning. Let's wait a couple more minutes and then we'll go. You're not in school. Not particularly. I like that. It's very interesting because the character in this gets punished. In school, he becomes problematic. He acts out. He does all that. Do you have that problem? I suspect you did.
Again, not particularly.
When I was growing up, I was a problem. So much of a problem, I sent away to boarding school when I was 8. Now, when someone talks to me about it, I said, I was impossible. Impossible. I got, and boarding school is interesting. There's such a thing, it exists in this country. Or you go to France to some stupid place. All right. Boarding school is interesting because it's very tough, but it's fair. They don't do things irrationally. You know what I mean by irrational? In other words, they don't just hit you. If you do something wrong, they'll punish you. You know what I mean? So if you play by the rules, you're all right. Where I grew up, that wasn't true. All right. All right. So today what we're going to do is we're going to finish the Enneagram. And I'm going to read some stuff. Okay. Let's start with something very short because I think this is really interesting. This is very good. Yes?
Talking of the Enneagram, do you know the Myers-Briggs type?
Yeah, Myers-Briggs, CIA uses that a lot. The idea of because it's very important. All their analysts are intuitives. Not intuitives, are introverts. Who thinks they're an introvert? Bullshit. You? No. Oh, Lord. Really?
Yes. But I'm like an introvert when I'm supposed to be extrovert. I do it. But I don't know actually.
Here's the question, and this is I learned from these people that use this at CIA. Do you get energy from people or do they take it away from you? Who gets energy from people? Yeah, I do. But then I get overexposed. There's a balance because when I make, like for example, my wife, she's ecstatic when she has 150 people to boss around. I run smaller crews, but when I'm directing a series or a film, it's stressful for me. It's a big effort. So after it, I have to go hide for a while. I have to get things back in balance. But generally speaking, I'd say I get energy from people. Who gets energy from people? Yeah, okay. So it's you can make equivalencies with Myers-Briggs, but this is just a different system. I mean, the thing about this system that's different is Myers-Briggs says you are this. This says you are this, but you start to become that in different circumstances or start to become that in different circumstances. I look around the room and see whose phone's ringing mine. No. Anyway, so I'm going to start with one thing, and then we're going to do a combination today of the who wrote this Salah? Okay, I'm going to I'm not going to start with that because I have some problems with some of the English, so I want you to tell people in the class, okay? When we do it, all right. Because I have, all right. Okay. Let me just see. Pyro. She's not a pyromaniac, but this is her story. She might be. I don't know. A pyromaniac girl falls in love with a man that used to be an arsonist because of the history and tries to remind him of the good old days. Okay. A pyromaniac is a type of impulse control disorder that is characterized by being unable to resist starting fires. People with pyromania know that setting fires is harmful. They feel satisfaction or relief as they set a fire. Do you have that problem?
No.
Are you sure you don't have that problem? Okay. While pyromania is a psychiatric condition dealing with impulse control, arson is a criminal act. Well, they're both criminal acts, really, if you start. I don't know. It's usually done maliciously with criminal intent. Okay. Here we have a love affair. What? Love affair? Yeah, why not? Right, sex. Good. All right. So,
Could be that passionate. 'Cause it's
pyromania is going to be passionate.
yeah.
Jeez, I mean, if you have, think of all the effects you have. There's fires, buildings blowing up, shit like that. You better have hot sex. Jesus. Otherwise, people go to sleep when they kiss. All right, so anyway, this is a really good idea. Why is it a good idea? Any thoughts about that?
It's original, something very innovative.
Thank you. Everything here is innovative. No, yeah, it is. It is. I haven't heard it before, but I'll tell you why I think it's a great idea.
So it might also, the fact that they're pyromaniacs or whatever can also be a symbol to how their approaches to the relationship is going to be, and how in the way they approach it is self-consuming but also consumes the other person, and that interaction just creates
You should talk to each other about this because he's a very experienced writer. Now, here's what I like about it. A pyromaniac is somebody who just starts fires, likes them, beautiful, booms. An arsonist has a purpose. Arson is against something. It has a purpose. So suddenly, a pyromaniac meets an arsonist and has a purpose in life. And a retired arsonist, has he been in jail?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
That's why he's
Yeah, right. A retired arsonist is somebody who, she brings the fire, metaphorically, back into his life. And together they're going to be, damn. Now, what is something that they could direct their energies against that wouldn't get everybody thrown in jail?
Well, in female arsonists, the motive is usually revenge.
What?
In female arsonists, the motive is usually revenge.
An event.
Revenge.
Revenge. Well, this is a male arsonist.
What about
How do you know that?
criminal minds?
I'm going to say, damn. She writes stuff like, as with all gin bursts. I'm going like, how do you know about all gin bursts? It's fun.
Well, it's a myth. There's a lot of stories, and in those stories, that's what's known. I didn't want to make it.
Well, okay. I mean, all right. An event.
no,
Revenge. I'm sorry. Revenge. Okay. But what is revenge against? I mean, you have to really be specific about this because you got to be careful. If you don't want to do it against the king, par exemple, or else you won't be around anymore.
A good example for this type of dynamic would be Natural Born Killers.
Okay. Have you seen that movie? Oh, you're in for an education, my dear. You see what he recommends. You'll. I don't know. You may not be quite so religious anymore. But anyway, so you see, Natural Born Killers is a good example. I think you should see a lot of stuff that deals with this kind of self-destructiveness. But I see, to me, what's interesting is that it has a purpose. Is there something I'm supposed to be doing?
No.
Okay, well, tell me if there is. All right. Because I think this is a very, very good idea. And I think what you ought to try to do is to think about what it is directed against. And if it is revenge, who's it revenge against? And it could be local. It could be against uh, a stepfather that abuses his mother. That could be their first thing. But then they have such a big success that they're going to do some bigger shit now. Well, that's good. I mean, I don't know, but what is it in this country that you could direct this capability against? Because all of a sudden, retired arsonist who's been in jail, who's trying to live a clean life, sees the fire, sees a young, fiery. What are you doing?
I'm doing a faster internet.
How do you know it's faster? I've got my phone. You think it is?
Yeah.
All right. Dopamine? What? All right. So I think it's a very good idea. Now, what are you going to, where do you go to this school? Do you go to the school?
Yeah.
Well, you should try to get send me more.
Okay. If I find the purpose, I will find the story. I just had the idea and didn't develop it yet.
All right. Well, it's not a bad thing to work in groups, like in other words, to take your story with a group of people and you try a lot of ideas and you go, no. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with that.
It's a funny idea too.
It's supposed to be a comedy.
Yeah.
Who said this?
Me.
Funny, you bet. I mean, it better be funny, otherwise the federales will be here. Yeah. But it should be funny. I mean, it starts on the beach. I mean, it can be something innocuous it starts with, but I think an arsonist, I like this idea that revenge, that maybe it's against something, initially something simple like his family, like an abusive stepfather that hurts.
Because pyromania can be caused by domestic abuse. So she would make him revenge for her.
All right.
They could.
But pyromania, it seems to me, may be caused by domestic abuse, but it's unlike an arsonist. It's not directed. It's expression. You could start a fire on a beach. Whereas arson's like, we're starting a fire under this house. Suddenly they have purpose. At the end of the first act, they're together. You bet. All right, good.
They could meet around a fire.
No question about it.
Yeah.
On a beach in the middle of the night with no one there. Good. All right.
Even if she wrote the genre as comedy, for me it's like very psychological.
What?
She wrote genre as comedy, but for me it's very psychological. It's like
More dramatic.
dramatic than
Could be both.
it could be both. It could be dramatic comedy, but it's very
Yeah, I agree. What about like something like Thelma and Louise? Is that a comedy? Sort of. Sort of tragedy. Oh, these people are going to die, no question. They're going to go up in flames. Oh, yeah. I think.
Maybe they could like burn, like watch the world burn kind of thing.
Mutually assured destruction.
I love it. Some local TV station here. We like the story, but we can't have fires. They're too expensive. right.
That's the problem. You're gonna need a lot of pyrotechnics to shoot this.
Pyrotechnics are not expensive. First of all, you can do them with CGI. Secondly, they're not expensive if you do them in something where you're not. What's expensive is if you're blowing up a building or something. But if you're on a beach where they might meet, under the full moon, I don't know, it'd just be a fire. But of course, the guys are I don't know. I mean, you have to think about it, but also, this isn't necessarily, my experience, because I've gone to these television stations locally here, and I was in business with her company, Hit Radio, that had license for private stations. And, we are trying to develop things for, international distribution, at the least regional distribution, because the local stations here spend all their money on these Ramadan things, and they spend literally no money on them. And some of them, I'm kind of pleasantly surprised by how some of them are pretty good, but some are not pretty good. All right. Now, let's see what else I find. Okay, that's one thing. Who sent me things? What did you send me? What did you send me? What did your email say? Ingrown nail. I think that came yesterday, right? Or ingrown nail. Let's see if we can find it here. Well, I'll try. Was that the title?
Yes.
Let's try it.
Well, yeah, that's the first one.
There we are. Okay. Okay, yes, I've read this. A young man dressed in vintage clothes and his bohemian hair that indicates Moroccan culture. At first, he walks freely and happily in the beach and alleys of his old city home. Ellipse. Ellipse refers to skipping forward, correct? I mean, is that what you're using? Okay. The short voiceover starts that describes the Moroccan life at the time in a poetic way. He arrives in an alley and sees a white stranger with blue eyes and a strong body wearing a blue suit and a white shirt carrying a briefcase. Are you fashion conscious? That's more clothes than I've ever worn in my life. Anyway, all right, here we go. He feels frightened and increases his walking speed. The stranger does the same. This person indicates the character of France so far. We have two main characters, Morocco and France. Okay, that's ambitious. So some relationship that will parody or parallel the relationship between Morocco and France. All right, okay, we're going here, all right? That's big. The Moroccans, I mean, I'm not saying good, I'm saying big. And it might be good. The Moroccan starts jogging, looking over and over behind him to see if the Frenchman was still behind. The Frenchman also increased his speed. The Moroccan literally started running with fear in his eyes. The Frenchman stood up suddenly. We still can't see his face. He takes his briefcase and gets out of it something we can't precisely know, and then he puts it in his jacket pocket. He wipes his hands with a paper and then returns it to his pocket, leaves his brief on the ground, and walks nervously. This chase indicates 44 years of French colonization of Morocco. That's modest. Jesus, all right, though. The Moroccan arrives at a coast overlooking the sea and a cemetery. He stands to rest. A plastic bird hits his feet. He turns to see it, finds the Frenchman staring at him, and the Moroccan falls in panic. The Frenchman looks at him sarcastically and then offers him help by getting him up, wiping his dirty clothes, and a contemptuous smile on his face. The Moroccan is standing in wonder and looking at him strangely. The Frenchman walks in the middle of the road and starts laughing hysterically, looks at the cemetery and raises his laughter. The plastic bird refers to the superficial freedom we obtained after independence, with which we suffered from cultural and economic subordination for a long time, whose effect is still present, and that laughter refers to the heinous act of France after its killing and persecution of millions of Moroccans, which appeared through his looks at the cemetery. Did the French kill millions of Moroccans? They did. When?
Not only Morocco, so it's also Algeria.
Algeria, I know about. Algeria, I know about. Did anyone see the movie The Battle of Algiers? Yeah, Algeria, I know about. By the way, they have very good filmmakers. When did they do this, the French?
When we were resisted, during the resistance of Moroccans.
And when was that?
Whenever there was resistance, there was like
1912 to 1944.
Yeah.
So 44.
Really? Really?
We obtained our freedom in 1956.
Uh-huh.
Independence Day.
And they did some heinous shit.
There's not a lot of French people vacationing here.
Now we're good. We're good.
We're not good.
That's the past.
And you act like, a lot of you act very French.
We obtained a lot of their ways of
Culture.
culture.
That's the colonization.
Yeah.
This is a problem that we had in America for 150 years. We were independent, but everything over there is better. Oh, the art is better. Oh, the food is better. Oh, the paintings are better. Oh, the books are better. So do we aspire to our own lesser culture, or do we want to be independent, or do we capitulate and copy the mother country? Same problem in America. It's called the provincial dilemma. Okay? The provincial dilemma. And it takes a long time to get over it. In America, we didn't have our own voice in painting for 200 years, 175 years. In the mid-century, America started to be a power in painting. Before that, it looked like French. We copied the French, we copied the British, we copied everybody. In literature, it took only about 100 years, 75 years. The American Renaissance was in the mid-19th century, about 75 years after independence. But again, It takes a long time. Now, I'm dealing a lot with Lebanon, which is much more independent now because it's been independent longer. They have other issues. But but they're still. I mean, I think I mentioned this to you. I delivered a paper at a conference on plagiarism in Lebanon, and it was at this university. And the night I arrived, they were all in titters. Did I mention this to you? Because they had a French chef. Ooh, somebody from France. Woo. And I'm kind of going, what's the matter with Lebanese food? It's really good. Oh no, this is from France. And then I got up and I said, look, you guys are you're thinking plagiarism is a terrible thing, and yet you spend your whole life plagiarizing France. What the hell's going on? I mean, it's really, so that's a very big issue, and that's what we were talking about. Is there a national type? Well, maybe a little bit like, what do you want me to be? Like twos. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, this is a problem that all fledgling post-colonial countries have. It's not like, oh, you poor people. Everybody's got this issue. But it's just a question, it takes time. And I also think now with social networks and all these other things and the internet, all this other communication, these things can be truncated. They can be much abbreviated. In other words, where it was 150 years before there was any voice in America for art.
How did the US overcome it?
Time and independent thinking and creative people. And I mean, there are still, I have a lot of American friends that think that anything British or French is better. And they think American cinema is just terrible and blah, blah. I mean, I don't happen to have any of this affliction at all. I think I think if something's good, I think it's good. I don't think it's, but there are people still that are very pro-European, they think America is just a cheap, trashy place, which isn't entirely wrong. Anyway, so what do you think about this France-Morocco thing?
By the way, we did actually film this movie last week. We did.
What?
We did actually film this movie last week.
Well, where is it?
Well, the problem that I had, that I was director and also an actor. So when I checked the clips, I didn't find there was the establishing shot, and I didn't find the link between it and between the first sequence that he arrives in Ali and Sia was doing. So I will write this synopsis to refill some clips to complete the movie.
If I see a couple of people walking down the street and a couple of people going by a cemetery and something for a plastic bird, and we see this, who is going to know that this is a symbolic of the Franco-Moroccan relationship? Who's going to know that? I don't know about Moroccans. I don't know. I'm just asking that question. I mean, you can't walk down with Morocco, France on your sweater. I just think that this is very, very big and ambitious for, 5-minute film, 3-minute film, I don't know what, to put a 50-year relationship or whatever it was in microcosm. That's pretty ambitious. And I'm not sure people will understand it. And also, I think it should probably be more nuanced. I mean, there's a lot of shit that happened in 50 years. And I just don't know how you could do it.
It's like he summarized all 50 years, but he did it in a poetic way, using symbolism, using like the laughter and the bird. It's very poetic. So I think I don't want to call it a struggle, but the thing is how people are going to understand those symbolic things, like the bird and the laughter. Because he gets it. He's the writer. That's his idea. But how is it going to reach the spectators that people are watching?
That's why
I'll bet you, if you put this thing up on you finished it, and you put it up on screen, and you didn't say anything about it, how many people in this room do you think would get what it was? What?
Not many.
What?
Not many.
Not many. Allegory is tricky. Allegory is tricky. Critics then, what you do is, of course, it's French cinema. The filmmaker tells the critics, and then the critics write in magazines, and then you go see the movie and you understand about it.
I think it's a good idea to put a voiceover for people to understand.
This is symbolic of the relation of Franco. I think that's heavy-handed. What are you going to say? Tell me with a voiceover.
Describe the Moroccan culture before colonization of France. In other words,
I don't know. I mean, you just got to be careful about, you know what being heavy-handed means? Not being subtle, not hitting people over the head. Louis Malle did this. Do you know Louis Malle, the director, the French director? He did this in a film called Calcutta, which was about, colonialization of Calcutta in India. And you might want to see it. I think it's very, very ambitious to do things that are sort of have this heavy symbolism to it, that that is compressed into 5 minutes. Like, well, I'm going to do a short film about a history of the United States. Well, that's pretty hard to do. History of the Franco-Moroccan relationship, pretty hard to do. It's very nuanced.
He wants it to do in poetic way. Maybe he can use poetry on both sides. Like the Moroccan speaks poetry of his own culture, and the other one does the same thing.
there is a thing called Zajr. It's Moroccan poetry.
Yeah.
So I decided to put it here.
What's it called?
It's called Zajr. It's
Zajr.
Moroccan poetry.
What's different about it than other poetry, besides it's in dialect, presumably?
More metaphorical.
What?
It's more metaphorical.
More?
It's allegory. It's a Moroccan way of doing allegories.
Okay.
It can also be sung.
All right.
Yeah.
It can be sung.
All right.
The problem I had too is I couldn't focus on one thing because I was actor and also director. It was very hard.
Well, you shouldn't do it then. That's the lesson of that. I know a lot of actors that directed themselves initially and then didn't do it anymore. I think you got to be careful about that, particularly when you lack experience. But I mean, did you have a monitor? What?
We don't have that much equipment in our school.
You don't have a monitor. You got to be able to see what you shot. I mean, if you're going to be an actor director, you got to have a monitor you can play back the tape so you know if it's good. Without that, you shouldn't do it. Well, listen,
Just me and the guy with the blue suit, and the cameraman. That's it.
Well, I mean, look, a lot of people I know a guy made feature films that was quite successful on an iPhone. But he had an external sound. He had a sound. It's possible to do. It's just, you got to know, in other words, the less experienced you are in a funny kind of way, the more you need something like a monitor and a little bit.
We have a lake of young actors. We are seriously
We're seriously what?
lake of actors. We don't have much actors
You don't have any actors.
that could work with no money.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's generally a problem to have actors who work for no money anywhere. They want to make money.
We want to make money too, but we spend money to make it.
All right, in this school that you go to, is there actors?
No.
That's the problem. Just directors.
It's funny, when I taught at USC, I taught this woman who's the dean called me and said, this course is perfect for you. It's directing the actor. And it's an undergraduate course. And I said, well, I don't really teach undergraduate courses. I teach graduate courses. He said, no, there's a course at USC where 12 directors learn how to work together. And what happens is they direct scenes. All the actors do 4 scenes, the directors do 2. And you shoot the scenes and show them in class. And it's very successful. It's very successful. But you got to have something like that. You got to find that at school. Your school should make a deal with some acting class or some. There is one.
Institute.
Is there one in Rabat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, then just make an arrangement so that you can access their actors.
It's not up to us. We have nothing to do.
Administration.
It's not up to you.
Yes.
Who the hell's it up to?
It's school.
Well, tell them to do it.
It's up to you as youngsters to talk to the other youngsters, not go through administration.
I can share my experience, my small little experience. I studied in a different film school, and I went to Izadak, which is the acting school, and I tried to find a few actors, and I found a few that did the casting and were very good. But there are very few, I could say that. But there are people who are very talented, are up to work for free in a student project.
Well, I'm going to meet with the management of this place, this school, and I'll suggest it. I mean, you got to have a deal with, so that, well, first of all, I'm going to suggest that the students do a number of shorts every year and team up to do it. You just got to do the more you do it, the better it is. But I mean, they'll probably completely ignore me and go back to the physics of filmmaking. But anyway, but the other thing is you got to have a pool of actors that you can draw and that will come and audition.
In our third year, we have 4 projects to make. We have a documentary, we have a TV show, and we have a short film that's 12 minutes, and another short film that's 6 minutes.
4 projects in like 1
What about year one?
Year 1 is just theory and math.
It's bullshit.
And math and coding and.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit. You should have projects in every year.
I think I'm lucky because I'm in the first year, and in the first year you can do nothing. But me and some colleagues, we do some.
Yeah, they filmed their own stuff. We didn't have that chance because we had COVID and everything.
Yeah, this is terrible, this thing.
Yeah.
Who's had COVID? Wow. Wow. Who had it badly? Really? Did it make your hair that way? Her hair was long and straight before COVID. Okay. Well, anyway, ingrown nail is a very interesting intellectual idea, and I think that you have to work on so that how someone will understand this. But it's a like this, by the way, is very typically of a French directors. They do these big ideas like this. They like big ideas. I like stories. And it's okay if there's a big idea behind the story, but you got to make sure that people understand what this is. It's not some guy walking down the street with somebody following him. And what's this bird? What's this angel? Yes.
So, excuse me. Do you think there should be a narrator that speaks in, like, as he said, in poetry, for example, the whole thing, but he narrates like metaphorically?
I don't know. I mean, I think that I find that very heavy-handed.
Yeah.
In other words, I don't like to be told what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, you could be at a poetry reading, at the end of which this guy goes and he walks, and this other person follows him, and something in this reading, this poetry reading, has established the fact of the Franco-Moroccan. Yes.
I thought to put a song that called Gher Khuduni by Nasr Ghibur. That song is talking about the same subject that I read.
Okay, well, that could help. Now, here, let me tell you, when I'm seeing a movie and I'm seeing some girl dress, I'm just hypothetically saying, the last thing I need on a soundtrack is, well, I woke up this morning and I put on my blouse. I don't need that in a soundtrack. I don't need the soundtrack to tell me what I'm seeing. I need the soundtrack to add another dimension to things.
To accentuate it.
Well, or not accentuate, yes, particularly the emotional values,
Yeah.
but also possibly to add a dimension as well. It adds dimension. It doesn't tell you what you're seeing. I hate that stuff. I hate lyrics that reflect what's on the screen. It's laziness on the part of.
That's why we use images to describe the things that we wrote. It's like you put your script with images and you put it again. It's very redundant. It's very boring to me, especially.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to do a little Enneagram, okay? Let me see. I'm just curious if we can get.
Something about this script. I think it's very doable. You just have to be sure that he has a French colonial costume and he is Moroccan vintage clothing, and then you can have some, like when the camera moves, a poster with the, for example, researching this.
By the way, the guy, the actor, is strong, tall, and have a blue eyes.
Yeah.
So
And we can like put some details when
Yes.
they're running, like a poster about French colonialism or a wanted, and even if you want to make a music, if you make there's this movie I watched where the son and she speaks about the suffering of the village, and we don't know what is happening, but thanks to the song, things happen. So thank you.
Any other thoughts about this? Now listen, if somebody has ideas to share, ideas of how this can be done, good. I don't know this school of poetry. I don't know a lot of things you're talking about, but I think it's a significant thing. And I think it's very interesting to tell. In other words, a very ambitious series could take place in the period of occupation of Morocco by France, and could be a limited series, could be 8 or 10 episodes, and focus on incidents in, I don't know, people, what. All right, I'm going to play you a little couple things. We started to play some of these, and the internet wasn't good enough. But maybe it'll work today. Here's one thing I started to show you. This is what people want to see after the coronavirus. There's this guy called Ziad Nasser, who is the world's greatest wedding planner. He did Bin Salman's wedding, $44 million. And so this guy's a friend of mine in Beirut, and he's been chasing me around for 10 years to do a show about this. And I went, the first time he showed me all this footage, and it was in Saudi Arabia, the wedding. I said, it could be a good reality show. I don't do this, but it could be, because women love to look at all this luxury and all this stuff. It's like porn. Anyway, and he said, there's one problem. You can't see the people. I said, what? You can't see the people. It's the Saudis. They don't want to be seen. So what are we going to do? Fix the whole wedding and start and bring actors in? I don't know. No. All right. So it didn't work. So now he's doing a lot of weddings all over. This is a wedding footage we used, and it's a reel that with the footage of the bridal couple is sort of grafted onto it. But tell me if you think this is something people will want to watch after being in an apartment for 2 years with the coronavirus. Are we hitting the lights? Let's not be too optimistic. It may not work. There we are.
I met Malik in 2005. He was in my school, and we were friends, not very close friends, but we were friends. And then I saw him again. I get a rush of feelings. It's overwhelming. I don't know how to explain it. And then we started talking, and it's been 4 years and a half now. And I'm so happy, and I'm so lucky.
Most of the time, the couple doesn't know exactly what they want. Or what they want to get married. A fairy tale, and usually they say simple and different and elegant. But I totally understand them. My name is Ziad Rafael Nasser. I'm someone very sensitive. I like to feel people, to feel things, to make them happy, sad. I love emotions in general. When you sit with the couple, they don't know what they want. You have to be more therapist than a designer if you think about it. When they don't know what they want, they don't know anything. We have to go into all the process of the design. I don't know why when it comes to his thing, if you tell him red, what red? Red. He wants to see everything. You know, when they told you $1 million wedding, nowadays, unfortunately, the $1 million, it's just to start thinking. Sometimes you go up to 10, 12, 19. Okay, they're throwing numbers. Fine, let's do it. I decided to do it in Marrakech because this destination, it's not known. It's not Paris, it's not New York, it's not London. This is the floor plan, the Arabian Night. We have 3 days, non-stop of entertainment.
I love it. It's magical.
Everybody was so happy about Marrakech. They love the idea, especially the mom. And you know, when the mom say yes, the rest will zip it. We have many departments in the company. Architect, interior designers, whatever I have in mind as a concept, they can make it into a reality. Product designers, everything has to be customized, designed for the couch, coffee table, all the accessories and so on. Also the lighting people. I have, of course, the one that I hate, the accountant. I don't know when you're gonna tell me no. I know you're inside the feelings so hollow. Destination weddings, you have to think more than one day, because you cannot let people fly from a country to another just for one night.
It's not the place that makes the thing beautiful, it's the people who are here will make it much more beautiful.
I'm so lucky. God has given me the greatest gift. He's such a sweetheart, and he's my future, he's my everything. He's the love of my life.
Brunch dinner, make up. You're such a hard act for me to follow. Love me today, don't leave me tomorrow. Yeah, but I fall for you. I'll never recover. Now the show has to stop. And for me, it was my wow.
So you worked on this?
Yeah, it's mine. What do you mean? Do I work on this? This is one of my projects.
Okay.
Yeah, why?
What did you do on this?
What did I do? I just made the decision to develop it, and then I was in charge of all the editing and the music and the post-production, everything. I'm the boss. But I mean, I'll give you an example. Ziad is my buddy. We filmed a day in his office with his equipe. It was during the coronavirus when they all just came in and pretended to be doing shit. And then we used a videographer who did this. He's a Croatian, very good. Who did all the footage. But then we wanted to put some stuff that said that this was equally about not only the production, but about the family, the bridal family and all that. Because at least half the show will be all these dramas that happens, between the two families that are getting married. In other words, we'll follow that as much as we follow the thing coming together. And we didn't have enough of that, but he didn't have very good footage of the couple and all that stuff. That, by the way, is a Lebanese former prime minister. The guy, this is why there's no government in Lebanon. These guys spend their money on weddings. I mean, I don't know what he spent on that wedding, but boy, I mean, I'm sort of like going out to dinner with 6 people. It's fun, but yes.
How much money did you spend for this one?
This was low budget, 10 million. Americans, let me tell you, I come from a rich family. Now, I walked out the door when I was 20 years old, but Americans don't spend that kind of money on weddings. No, they shouldn't. It's crazy. But on the other hand, I thought, this is ridiculous. And then I started looking at this footage. I went, well, I'd go to that wedding. I wouldn't want to give that wedding. I wouldn't want to pay for that wedding, but I'd go to that party. Yeah, exactly. But this was about 10 million. And I talked to somebody who went, And they said, oh, he's very stingy. We had to fly in ourselves. Jesus. Anyway, but I think it's fun. I think it's fun. But you know, women like jewelry and clothes and all that. They like watch and all that stuff. So it's kind of that. And yeah, we're in negotiation right now with Netflix with an umbrella company, Patty Jenkins' company, to do it. But I think it'll get produced. It'll get made. It's tricky because they're nervous. They go, "Ooh, how can we do this with coronavirus?" Yeah, we can't. In a word, but if when it's over, this is what people want to see: parties again. Damn.
So is this a proof of concept or?
This is what they call a sizzle reel. This is, and there's together with that, there's also a deck that says, you know, more details about the series. You want to see the deck? Hold on, let me see if I have that. I may not have the deck up on the site. Hold on. Let me see if I have the deck on the site. This developer. No, I think I just have the sizzle up. We have a deck. Yeah, I can show you decks. The decks you have here's a deck. Actually, do you know what a deck looks like? All right, this is a big series we're doing. Now we're writing the script now. The Phoenicians deck. Here's all the big people doing it. Here's the creative team, 6 Emmys. Look at all those awards we've won. And then the deck is this. I'll show you just quickly. Now this is a huge, expensive, epic series. So we do this thing that's sort of like, you know, before this and that, and the Sea People and the Phoenicians, and then all this imagery. You can see it on our deck. You go to the website, you know, and this is all Alyssa, with the first series focuses on the founding of Carthage, and you know, like all this stuff.
Like trying to sell it.
You can see it on the website, but it's, you know, we spent a lot of money on it. You bet. The Americas, Phoenicians explored all over the place. They went up the east coast of Africa, dragged boats over what is now the Suez Canal, and then Hannibal, you know, all that.
The characters in the
Yeah, they're in different seasons of the series, but I mean but once we have the Bible and the pilot outline, then this content will change, you know. And has somebody in this class written a game? A video game. Someone came up to me and said, "I have 10,000 pages of video game."
Oh yeah.
Because here is one of the people involved in this is we're doing like a game, a video game, you know, all this crap. But this guy, Danny Bilson, if you can read it, he's head of USC Media Games Division, but he's been involved with, you know, all kinds of games. He was the vice president of Electronic Arts. He's a Medal of Honor shows, you know, all these different games. And you know, he's really talented. He's a very good writer too. He's done hundreds of episodes of television, very high quality television. This guy, Tim Crane, created Crossing Jordan and Heroes, and he's won 4 Emmys. It's a big, expensive series, so you got to put a team together. What we try to do is bring in enough sort of foreign rock stars to make people think of it as an international co-production, and then we use as many local people as possible to direct episodes for technical things, stuff like that. Okay, now let's go back to what else do I want to show you? I'll show you. Is anybody interested in seeing stuff we're doing? One person is. Seeing the productions that I'm doing. It's kind of fun to think, because it's fun to think of how would you do this? In other words, what we said is these sizzle proofs of concepts are just a lot of candy. How do you do it? You know?
Yeah.
All right. Now, we're going to go back to the Enneagram. All right. Let's do this. So how are you liking this sort of discussion of the Enneagram? Is it helping you at all? You like this? All right. Now, again, all the tools are there on the website. And now yesterday, we did
369 and then
7-5. Did we do fives? We didn't do fives. We did 7-1, and we didn't do fives, right? Which is, okay, Osama bin Laden's a 5. Yeah. No, there's a lot we haven't done, but I do them in triads. All right, here we are. Okay, here we are. And then we go down here. See, you see this done so many times, you're going to be just an expert at it. And then, all right, in here. All right. So let's look at a 5. Let's look at a 5. Let's remind ourselves of this map, first of all. So yesterday we did a 3, the performer. We sell, Jerry. And then we did a 9, who's kind of like, that has equanimity, can't make a decision. Those were very good examples. I'm going to steal them all. Yeah. And 6, who's kind of the questioner, the skeptic, the thoughtful person. Then we did the 7, me. He's a 7. People get a lot of shit going on, problems with attention deficit sometimes, tendency to excess. And then we did 1, which is a stress 7, the perfectionist. Yep. All right. Now we're going to do 5, the observer. They're very ascetic. 1 is enough. I'll have this. Withdrawn. They tend to meditate, do yoga, stuff like that. But they're very thoughtful, and they don't speak just words. They're very careful about what they speak. All right. So we will now go to these clips and show you a 5. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Yeah, all right. Who's seen Sex, Lives, and Videotape? It was the first film of Steven Soderbergh. It was done for under $1 million, and it put him on the map. And it sort of was an art film, but it had sort of commercial ramifications. And this is a character who is traveling around and is a 5, all right? And he's meeting people he went to school with, but all of his friends are now working, their business, they've had children, they're in their early 30s. He's just driving around in his car. Okay.
Graham and I were talking about apartments today, and I told him that, they've got those lovely little apartments in the Garden District, and that, they've got really nice garage apartments.
Critical crime in the Garden
Oh,
District.
John,
Please.
come on, it's
No,
not.
there are, I don't know what kind of place you're looking for, but there are plenty of studio apartments available elsewhere in any one place. I'm sorry? No, it's just, I just, right now I have 1 key, everything I own is in the car, and I like that, if I get an apartment that's 2 keys, if I get a job, I might have to open or close, it's more keys, buy some stuff, I'm afraid it's gonna get ripped off or something, and I get more keys, and I just like having the 1 key, it's
Don't
clean.
worry about losing them. I always lose my keys. I hate that.
You get rid of the car when you get the apartment. No, I
still
don't have 1 key.
I don't like having the car.
Yeah,
Car is important. Got to be
You should
mobile.
you have to leave someplace in a hurry.
Yeah, or go someplace in a hurry.
Okay, get the idea? Okay, let's see what else we. Huh?
Very minimalistic. Very minimalistic.
Yeah, he's sort of self-contained. He doesn't want commitments, larger commitments in the world. He's sort of a little bit with. Yeah. And these the people at the table we went to school with who are doing a very different kind of bourgeois life now. Now they tend to be very focused too. Who's seen The Day of the Jackal? Oh, it's a good movie. It's about a guy who's a professional assassin, and he is hired to kill a thinly disguised Charles de Gaulle. And it's about how this is ultimately prevented But this is the character on his way from, I think, the south of France to Paris, where there is a big event about to happen, and he is now getting ready to do this. But again, these people are very methodical. They are very focused. They don't fuck around. All right, here we are. Don't mess around with a 5. That's a very good film, by the way. Day of the Jackal, Fred Zinnemann, very good director. So any thoughts about that? Anybody a 5 here? Really? Tell me, why? Speak up.
I did the test yesterday and I found that I was a 5.
Oh, good for you. All right. Do you do well in school? Really? They tend to be good students, but not always. Not always. Are you spiritual? No? Well, anyway, we may, if we have time, say like 5s get over here, 7s here, 9s here, and you start to talk. Oh my God, it's amazing. It's amazing how clear it gets to you. Okay, well, let's just do a something else here. All right, we've done the 7s, 6s, 5s. Okay, I tell you what we'll do. We're going to do The Giver. And somebody asked me, is there a type for Morocco? And I said, maybe 2s, maybe 2s. Yeah, what do you want me to be? You know, like, but 2s are cool. I have 2s all over my life. Who's a producer here? They tend to be 2s. What can I do to help? How can I make this happen? Da, da, da. They got to have a 2 and a 3 kind of thing in them. Malak? Malak. Good God, what is she? She's amazing. Who knows Malak here? Whoa, damn. All right. Well, she's impressive, but she needs help organizing. To do a festival like this. It's a big organizational deal. Emphatic, demonstrative can be intrusive and manipulative. They can a little bit. A two, you got to notice this. A two that is stressed can get bossy. A two that's evolved can get very romantic and stuff. Here, I think I'm going to show you. Let's look at a couple of twos, okay? There's one two I like a lot. All right. These are both really good clips. Here's a two, okay? This is one of my favorite scenes or series or montages or introductions to any film ever. Goodfellas. I don't have to explain it because it's the beginning of the film.
The one-shot sequence?
No, it's not a one-shot sequence.
To me, being a gangster was better than being president of the United States. Even before I first wandered into the cab stand for an after-school job, I knew I wanted to be a part of them. It was there that I knew that I belonged. And to me, it meant being somebody in the neighborhood that was full of nobodies. They weren't like anybody else. I mean, they did whatever they wanted. They double parked in front of a hydrant. Nobody ever gave them a ticket. In the summer, when they played cards all night, nobody ever called the cops. Must I forever be a beggar? Golden dreams will not come true. Only stacks, no way. Will I go from rags to Tootie Cicero? My fate is up to you. Tootie ran the cab stand and La Bella Vista Pizzeria and a few other places for his brother Paul, who was the boss over everybody in the neighborhood. Hey, Paulie. Paulie might have moved slow, but it was only because Paulie didn't have to move for anybody. Must I forever be a beggar? You start. I started. It's your fault. Junior here. At first, my parents loved that I found a job across the street from the house.
Henry, don't play ball.
My father, who was Irish, was sent to work at the age of 11, and he liked that I got myself a job. He always used to say that American kids were spoiled lazy.
Bye, Dad. Bye, Henry. Say goodbye to you. Bye, Henry. Henry, watch how you cross. Bring back milk.
And my mother was happy after she found out that the Ciceros came from the same part of Sicily as she did. I mean, to my mother, that was the answer to all her prayers. I was the luckiest kid in the world. I could go anywhere. I could do anything. I knew everybody, and everybody knew me. Wise guys would pull up, and Tootie would toss me their keys and let me park their Cadillacs. I mean, here I am, this little kid. I can't even see over the steering wheel, and I'm parking Cadillacs. But it wasn't too long before my parents changed their minds about my job at the cab stand.
For your mother and sister, make sure you give me yours.
For them, the cab stand was supposed to be a part-time job, but for me, it was definitely full-time. That's all I wanted to do. You see, people like my father could never understand, but I was a part of something. I belonged. I was treated like a grown-up.
Hey, look, Larry, don't you have 19.
Every day I was learning to score. $1 here, $1 there. I was living in a fantasy.
Fuck, it's a lot of money, Squad. Is that right? Did you have a good day at school today?
And my father was always pissed off.
Learned a lot.
He was pissed that he made such lousy money. He was pissed that my kid brother Michael was in a wheelchair. He was pissed that there were 7 of us living in such a tiny house.
Why don't you tell me about this? It's a letter from school. It says you haven't been there in months. In months! You think it's so hard? You're not the bum! You want to go to the bum?
But after a while, he was mostly pissed because I hung around the cab stand. He knew what went on at that cab stand. And every once in a while, I'd have to take a beating. But by then, I didn't care. The way I saw it, everybody takes a beating sometime.
I can't make any more deliveries. What do you mean you can't make any more deliveries? You're gonna fuck everything up. My dad said he's gonna kill me. Look. Come on with it. No. How about him? Nope. That's the guy. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah.
You know this kid? Yeah. You know where he lives? Yeah. Deliver mail to his house? Yes. Yeah. Well, from now on, any letter from that school to that kid's house comes directly here. You understand? Yeah. If another letter from that school goes to that kid's house, in the fucking oven, you're gonna go ahead first.
That was it. No more letters from truant officers, no more letters from school, in fact, no more letters from anybody. Finally, after a couple of weeks, my mother had to go to the post office and complain.
Any thoughts about that?
Like, you don't see him really being a giver.
What do you mean? What do you want me to do? I'll do it.
No, I mean in this sequence. Yeah,
You sure do. He's doing whatever these guys want him to do.
He gives his whole time to the work.
Excuse me?
It's not a part-time job for him, it's a full-time job.
Full job. He wants to be a gang. He wants to be like these guys. Yeah, I mean, for as long as I can remember, I wanted to be a gangster. And not only that, but what's interesting is that it's a very sympathetic character. You understand? But he's a gangster. And I think, first of all, what about the filmmaking? What about the editing? Woo. Thelma Schoonmaker. I've worked with her. She's really good. But she and Scorsese together, I just think they do incredible stuff. Any other thoughts? Who liked it? Oh, in the back there, you didn't like it. Well, I'd like to know what you do like. Okay, it's pretty good. I mean, I think it's really good. Now, here's another one. Who's seen Thelma and Louise? Okay. Two women. One is married, trying to please her husband. And the other is sort of estranged, I think was raped sometime in her past, although it's never explicitly stated. Has a certain amount of bitterness, anger, and they go on the road. Okay, we'll see this, you'll see. Now, what's she doing? What makes this woman a two?
I'll get it! I got it! Hey, how you doing, little housewife? You all packed? We're out of here tonight. Wait now, I still have to ask Daryl if I can go. You mean you haven't asked him yet? Tell me,
Is he your husband or your father? It's just 2 days, for God's sake. Don't be a child. Tell him you're going with me. Tell him I'm having a nervous breakdown.
That don't care much weight with Daryl. I already think you're out of your mind.
Be at work? No, I'm calling from the Playboy Mansion.
Okay, right back.
Daryl?
Number one.
Daryl?
I'm working.
Honey, you better hurry up!
And this is my clue. With my nose, I look like the W.C. Fields of...
God damn it, Thelma! Don't holler like that. I've not told you I can't stand it when you holler in the morning.
I'm sorry, darling. I just didn't want you to be late.
Thank you.
Ron?
What?
Have a good day at work today.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Huh?
What?
You want anything special for dinner tonight?
No, Thelma, I don't give a shit what we have for dinner. I may not even make it home for dinner. You know how Fridays are.
Yeah, it's funny how so many people want to buy coffee on Friday night.
You'd almost think they'd want to forget about it for the weekend.
Well then, it's a good thing you're not regional manager. And I am. Jesus! God damn it, Homer! Christ, I gotta get to work. Need this bullshit in the morning. Just leave him, I'll get him. Thank you. Christ's sakes. Now, I want you out of here by 5. No, 3. Get out of here by 3 today. Good morning.
Morning, is Louise there?
Why, yes, she is. Is it Thelma? Thelma, when are you going to run away with me?
Not this weekend, please. She's running away from me. Hey, what'd it say? What time are you picking me up? All right. I'll be there around 2:30. Okay. Say, what kind of stuff do I bring? Oh, I don't know, warm stuff, I guess. Some mountains, I guess it gets cold at night. I don't know. I'm just gonna bring everything. Okay. I will too then. I steal Daryl's fishing stuff. Louise, I don't know how to fish. Neither do I, Thelma, but Daryl doesn't. How hard can it be? All right, I'll see you in a bit. Okay. Okay, bye.
Right?
As you brush your shoes and stand before the mirror, and you comb your hair, grab your coat and now, and you walk what speaks trying to remember all the wild nights we live in your memory ever, and everything looks so complete when you're walking out on the street, and the wind will carry you.
What? You want to watch the rest of it? Nah. You got the 2. Oh, you know, what do you want me? What do you want for dinner? What do you want this? She coddles her, and then she does exactly what she wants. But it's that what do you want me to be thing. 2s are really very interesting characters. I have a lot of them in my life because they're very, very good. They're good producers. They figure out what's going to work and what makes things work. And they're also very political. They're very politically astute. They'll say what they have to say to get something done. There we are. Okay, let's start. Let's do 2 things before we take a break here. I'm gonna talk to you about 8s.
The boss.
What? The boss, yeah. Does anyone do palmistry? Palmistry?
Reading palm.
Reading palms, no.
I have a friend who's the best palmist in the world. That doesn't mean anything really. She's kind of an old hippie, and but she's really. I mean, I don't believe necessarily in astrology or palmistry, but this woman knows so much. I ask her about shit, because she's very, very astute, and I think this is sort of something that is an excuse for her to use her intuition about what she feels. And when she's talking about an 8, she says he has the Jupiters. The thumbs, get shit done, put someone down. They're strong. They're very, very strong. They're clear on what they want to do, who they want to be. Now you evolve an 8 and it can become a giver. It can become very generous. You stress one and they withdraw. Okay, now I'm going to show you one clip of an 8. And then we're going to take a break. But 8s are very, what do I have here? Patton, 5 Easy Pieces. Erin Brockovich, yeah, she's real. These are good. I'm going to use just one Patton clip. Okay, let's do. Has anyone seen Erin Brockovich? Erin Brockovich is a woman who has an accident and finds a lawyer, and then becomes kind of a champion of certain kinds of women's rights and lost, abuse by the companies of polluting water and stuff like that. And but here she's had this accident and she's meeting her lawyer, and then it goes through the trial. It's a little bit of a long clip, but maybe it's not. Let me see.
You have no actual medical training.
No. I have kids. Learned a lot right there. Yeah, I mean, I've seen nurses give my son throat cultures and what is it? You stick a giant Q-tip down their throat and wait. Or a urinalysis where you take that dipstick to see whether or not the white count's high.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm great with people. You'd have to observe me to know for sure, but you can trust me on that. Yeah, I'm an extremely fast learner. You show me something in a lab once and I've got it down. Mm-hmm. No, I always wanted to go to medical school. You see, that was my first interest, really. But then I got married and had a kid too young, and that kind of blew that. But when I was first out of high school, I got a job with floor engineers and constructors in Irvine. I fell madly in love with geology.
Geology?
Yeah. I learned how to read maps. I love maps. Yeah, but I lost my job because my boy came down with chicken pox, had 104 temperature, and my ex-husband was useless, so that didn't really work out.
Uh-huh.
You got a really nice office.
Thanks. Look.
God damn it.
Morning, Mr. Mastery.
Morning, Mike.
How are you doing?
Fine, thanks. And you?
Very well, thank you for asking.
Good morning. Morning. How you doing? Down.
Did you see it last night?
I was out, but I tasted it. Don't tell me what happened.
It was so good. Your 9 o'clock's here already.
Remind me.
Erin Brockovich, car accident, not her fault, she says. She was referred.
All right. Aaron, hi.
Hi.
Ed Masry. Sorry you had to wait.
It's okay.
Now here, sit down, sit down.
Thank you. Oh, I never thought your Sandy could take it out of you, but ever since that shithead hit me, I feel like my whole body's put together wrong.
Poor thing. Did anyone ask if you want a coffee?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Good. Listen, whoever did this to you made one hell of a mistake. And you and me, we're going to make him pay for it. So, why don't you tell me what happened?
I was pulling out real slow, and out of nowhere, his Jaguar comes racing around the corner like a bat out of hell. They took some bone from my hip and put it in my neck. I don't have insurance, so I'm about $17,000 in debt right now. I couldn't take painkillers because they made me too groggy to take care of my kids. Matthew's 8 and Katie's almost 6 and Beth's just 9 months. Just want to be a good mom, nice person, a decent citizen. I just want to take good care of my kids, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. 17,000 in debt? Whew. Is your ex-husband helping out?
Which one?
There's more than one?
Yeah, there's 2. Why?
So, you must have been feeling pretty desperate that afternoon.
What's your point?
Broke, 3 kids, no job. A doctor in a Jaguar must have looked like a pretty good meal ticket.
Objection
What? He hit me.
So you say.
He came tearing around the corner, out of control.
An ER doctor who spends his days saving lives was the one out of control.
That asshole smashed in my fucking neck. Open it fucking shut.
Exactly the kind of language the lawsuit
Oh, please, it was over long before
I told
then.
her the questions
You're
might
making
get
me
a
sound
little
like some-
personal.
No, you told me I'd be sick.
I never said that.
You told me I had a good shot. I had no shot.
Okay, let's try and settle
Oh,
down here.
fuck settle down. I've got $74 in the bank. I can't afford to settle down.
I'm telling you.
Teach lawyers to apologize because you suck at it.
Eight. Pissed off. What?
Very manipulative too.
Who is?
Very manipulative for me. Like emotionally manipulative.
Not really. No. She's got anger's more dominant than anything else. She's not. She's not. Yeah, but well, an 8 can go to 2, and an 8 can go to 2. Yeah, that is there. But anyway, remember when I talked to you about ellipsis going forward in time? Bang. Tell me what happened. Boom, we're in court. She's testifying. Very good ellipsis. In other words, and there's 2 things here that I want to call your attention to. One is the filmmaking is there's great economy here. You know, you don't repeat that story twice. She tells it once. Boom. Now, in cross-examine. Now let's look at 2 things here. There's an expression. You know, you want to get to know a character, but you don't want to have excessive amount of exposition where you're beating us over the head with all this information. And there's an expression called use exposition as ammunition. In other words, she's in a job interview. We learn a lot about her. She's in court and trial. We learn more about her. We know everything about her, but we're 8 minutes into the movie. Very well done. Did we feel like we got stuff crammed down our throat? I don't think so. No. Very good. So, I mean, that's it's very good filmmaking. Very good filmmaking, I think. And so that's what these clips are really about more than, I mean, as much about the person, the filmmaking is about the characters. But who's here thinks it might be an 8? Maybe. Okay, so we'll take a break. After that, we're going to go through your story. There's another story I'm going to have somebody read because I didn't really understand as well as I might because of the English. And I'm just going to finish with the Enneagram. And then everybody's getting diplomas. Did you know that? Damn. What about my diploma? Okay, we'll take a break.